What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I've got good news for you. This is an international film, and it has audio description. It's The Teacher's Lounge. I don't know what masterful people have allowed this to happen, but I found this on Netflix. It was last year's Academy Awards entry from Germany, and it is on Netflix with audio description. They have some of their own Oscar entries, like Roma and Bardot, that don't have audio description, but the Teacher's Lounge does. I don't know how this happened, but I love it, and I'm so glad I got to see this. This movie is excellent, but we need to talk about the audio description to this. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do it first. So, I appreciate it, and I don't wanna I have to tread lightly here because I'm very much of the mindset that we should have more international content audio described, especially Netflix, which tries to push all of its international content on the same level, which some other streaming services are really benefiting from too. Amazon has started benefiting from that. Disney's starting to benefit from that. If you guys are trying to benefit from that, then take your content seriously here in America and add audio description to your international content, so we can watch it too and don't leave us out of conversations, or make it so that our families have to choose what to watch based on what does and doesn't have accessibility. I know that's always a big thing for whenever I watch anything with anybody. Yes, I do watch things with other people. I know I have a singular YouTube channel by myself, but yes, I know other humans. Um, and when that happens, people are like, oh, this doesn't have audio description because I talk about it so damn much because I'm an advocate for it. So then they know what it is now, and they get like upset too. They're like, ah, damn it, why don't they do this for you? Like, how hard is it? Like, I've gotten like other people to get like viscerally angry about this. So yeah, it really needs to be on more things. Um, but this audio description track is maddening. Yeah, I followed it as much as I could, and I think the movie is excellent. It is one person who's doing all of the audio description and every single character translation, so everything sounds like one giant run-on sentence. It is insane. There were times where I was like, I don't know which character is talking. And because it's essentially dubbing, right? Because I don't speak German, and I can't read the subtitles, so I have to have it this way. It's not, I would, if, give me, give me cyborg eyes and I'll read your subtitles. You know what I'm saying? Like, move technology along and I will gladly read movies again, but I can't. So I have to have dubbing. There is a place for it in this world. But this is I love that they went, whoever paid for this. I don't think this is a Netflix original because I think they picked this up after the fact, like after it hit some festivals. It may be a Netflix acquisition, but it's not an original. Um, it's just one person. It's one person doing it all, which is a lot. There's a lot of people in here. There are a lot of just different genders, different ages. This narrator is doing not just the traditional audio description of entering and exiting the room, and she reaches down and picks up her jacket. She looks across at so and so. Like it, not just that stuff, but she's reading for every adult female character, every adult male character, every child male character, and every child female character in the entire film, the whole thing, because this takes place in a school. So you have teachers of both genders, you have kids of both genders in the school, and she's reading for all of them, and they're having a lot of back and forth conversations. Sometimes there's more than two people in them. Sometimes a conversation between three people or four people. And I tried to follow who was talking to who all the time, and oh my god, there's a lot of dialogue in here. It's like Aaron Sorkin in The West Wing. There's just some of these scenes are just like it just flows. And this narrator wasn't even given the grace or the note to, can you try to change the inflection in your voice? I know that's got to be so hard because it's like there've got to be at least 20 different people that speak in this, at least between the teachers and the kids. I'm thinking there got to be at least 20 different people that have lines in this. So, but there are some of those that don't speak a lot. They just like a one-off. It's like more minor characters that have less lines. But oh my God, the inflection change would have been so nice in those tight conversations where you're reading one person's line and then it's the next person. Just to have that break, because it was really hard to hear the mix behind it of the actual actors. Sometimes you can, when it's really balanced well, I can hear the original performance of the actors, but this track was laid over. It's not a very loud film either, so it's not like these people are shouting. They're having these very quiet conversations about this thing, which I'll explain in the movie in a minute. I'm sorry if you cited people haven't talked about the movie at all. And it was just it was so. I was like, I have to pay attention. I've never felt more like I had to like hone in and be like, if I blink, if I do anything, if I look at my phone, I will miss. I will miss something. I feel like I'm going to miss a lot. I was like so into trying to figure out who was speaking when that it was I don't even know if I fully like enjoyed. Like I couldn't let the film wash over me because this description is maddening. But thank you for describing an international film, especially one that was nominated for an Academy Award. I guess in the same year in which Netflix's original El Conde didn't have audio description but was also nominated for an Academy Award. Very weird. So I don't want to like bite that hand that feeds, but also this audio description is really difficult. It is really difficult. And I know the limitations. I know they paid for cheap audio description. They paid for one person. They didn't want to pay for more than one person. They didn't want to pay for more than one narrator. Whoever paid for this was just like, we're going to put audio description on this because it's our basic thing. I'm surprised this isn't TTS, to be totally honest. I'm surprised it didn't go all the way down. At least they paid a human being. Because, this is thumbs down. I gotta say, I don't know that it's not AD Team's fault. I would say that I aggressively chose to exit the film at the end of the credits because I didn't want to know which team did the audio description. Which is, I only rarely ever do that. But I actually didn't want to know because I know that I know that it's because they didn't want to pay for it. I know whoever, Netflix or the film production company behind this, whoever it is, just didn't want to pay for it. I know that's what it is. So, but I would challenge them to watch this. Like, blindfolded. Like, basically, I would challenge anybody to watch this with just the audio description track and be like, is this fun for you? All right, so what is the film about? I don't fully know. This is what I got out of it. So, it takes place in a school and things are going missing, are causing fingers to be pointed. And first it's easy to point them at the students and say, well, it's obviously our students but which students are they pointing at? And it's weird because we think about, like, here in America, we have our own sort of like system of racial bias. And this is sort of like Germany's version of that is how do they see what's their caste system like? How do they set it up to where who gets the brunt of these accusations too frequently. Um, where it's like, if this was if they Americanized this version, it would be like, oh, of course you blame the black person, or of course you blame the the Mexican immigrant. It would be one of those things where it's like white teachers blaming the minority kids that likely get the brunt of the work. It would not be white kids getting blamed, is the point here. That would not be what this is. But then you start seeing some of the other things, and it kind of grows, and then there starts to become this unsettling conversation that happens between the teachers and the administration and the principal, and how that whole thing lays out too, especially when cameras are involved and people see only a little bit of something, but it's enough for them to be able to point a finger at somebody because of something specific. I'm also trying not to give anything away here. It's a very interesting film, and I can totally see why this was nominated for Oscars. It's a very tight film. It's the kind of film that normally I wouldn't say remake a film, because I think films are really strong in where they are, but because this is Germany's thing, I could totally see this being remade in America to reflect the way that we see. Like, if this happened here, how would this happen? Take this same setup and put it here. You could take the same setup and put it anywhere, and it would be interesting. Like, versions of this film in any country would be interesting. But the Japanese version of The Teacher's Lounge, I would love to know what that's like, because basically there would have to be some version of that in there where it feels like certain people are being called out because of who they are, instead of necessarily are they guilty. If that makes sense. Does that make, I don't know if that makes sense. A little bit of that in here. The film gets kind of uncomfortable towards the end, but I like being uncomfortable in films. And yeah, I think this is a brilliant film. For as much as that I could follow it, for as much that I could understand it, listening to this audio description track, I can't even imagine if I was quality. Like, if I was the QC check on this, if somebody had passed it to me, I'd be like, they'd be like, "Do you have thoughts?" And I'd be like, "What?" I felt exhausted after listening to this. It's amazing that I'm giving this a good grade, because it's really easy for me to just be like, this is not. But listen, I got accessibility. It was human. Those are two. We got 2 green check marks there. I just wish that somebody else would realize that there is so much more to audio description than just making sure that it exists, or then feeling like that you've made some sort of grand stride by making sure that it's a human that narrates it. I just wish that people would understand, like, great audio description can really make a movie. And then we go out there and we get to talk to our friends and our family members and talk about these movies that we see and say, wow, this movie was great. It was amazing. And I totally understood all these things. Oh, remember that scene? Yeah, I remember that scene. I've had those conversations where people are amazed at how much I'm able to like follow in film, and how I know things. And they're like, wow, how did you know that? And I'm like, well, because of my audio description track was great. It's when I have conversations with people, and then occasionally they're like, oh, but no, it wasn't that, it was this. And I'm like, oh, fuck that audio description track. Yeah, I've had that before, where something hasn't been mentioned before and I come back around. But in general, yeah, there's a lot of great audio describers out there, a lot of great companies that are making it. And companies like Netflix or the company that paid for the audio description, I don't know who distributed The Teacher's Lounge. I'm just going to keep dodging that. I don't know. It was a German Oscar entry. It could be Bleecker Street. I don't know. But whoever paid for it, just pay for the best quality that you can. You wouldn't cut corners anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't cut corners in sound mixing. You know, like your film's been shot and then like it's going in post production, and you're like, let's pay for the cheapest sound mixer we can. You know, um, oh, we spent $100 million on this, but oh damn, now we have to do VFX in post. Uh, I don't know, let's spend the least amount of money possible on that. Let's waste $100 million so that we can have really terrible visual effects that everybody will notice and point out. Generally, now they're like, well, we're gonna have to go a little bit deeper in order to, not waste our $100 million. I don't know. It's just like you don't bargain bin everything. Yeah, some stuff doesn't look good or doesn't look perfect or whatever, or doesn't sound perfect, and there are little glitches because artistry is definitely a wide range. Not every writer is, I don't know, at the top of his game. I want to say Aaron Sorkin because I love Aaron Sorkin, but I know that there are other screenwriters and people will be like, well, you went with Aaron Sorkin first? Uh, but, um, you know, yeah, there are other writers who are not there. There are directors at the top, there are directors down at the bottom. There are sound mixers at the top, sound mixers at the bottom. I know it's all like a range of things. But with audio description, it's like here you're selectively choosing to do the least. You're selectively saying, well, this is something where we could have had multiple narrators. It could have made sense, and we just chose not to. And I would point to this year's Oscar winner for Best International Feature, The Zone of Interest, which had an excellent audio description track and used several narrators to make sure that the differences in the vocal performances came through. So that one went out of its way to do that. This was up against it in terms of competition, and if I was an Oscar voter, honestly, I would vote for Zone of Interest because, like, not just because, well, it is actually it is a better film, but also this is it kind of like it puts me a little bit off from the film. Like it does kind of put this wall between me and the film because it's like I'm struggling to understand it, whereas somebody went out of their way with Zone of Interest to make sure that I could get the best experience possible out of the Zone of Interest. So it's just the care that you put into it and whether or not you want to. But again, please describe more international content. Allow me to give you criticism like this. And I would recommend The Teacher's Lounge, hands down, easily, across the board. I think this movie's excellent. I think it has big questions to ask and answer, and this is one of those few times where I would say there's something here. That somebody came up with a cool idea, and there's something that we could keep asking the same question of other, cultures, of other countries. It's like, what would this look like here? What would this situation, if this happened here, what would it look like? And I think it's so interesting because I learned that about Germany. I learned if this happened in Germany, oh, this is what it looks like. This is indicative of the culture there. Anyway, because I'm not German, so I don't know what it's like. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna give The Teacher's Lounge an A. Yeah, as I could give it a lower grade, but it would be because the audio description is maddening, and that's not really. I don't know that that's necessarily fair to the film itself, because I think the film is brilliant. I think that's more like I'm giving you the note, pay for better audio description. Would I recommend this to another blind person? I would recommend this to a blind person with the exact caveat that I said before. You need to pay attention. You need to drink some coffee. You need to be alert. You need to be ready. Because this is not an easy audio description track. They have made this really fucking hard to follow. I think really hard. To sit there and listen to one person do everything is insane. It has been insane. I've mentioned it's insane when it's happened in other things. Shogun was insane. Shogun, I could actually hear the actors though, which helped. And it had two actors that spoke in English quite prominently. So, actually, a couple characters that spoke in English. So it was a little bit different than this. Nobody speaks in English here. There's no English, and honestly, it's a quieter film. So nobody's really shouting, and I can't really hear the differences in conversations. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.